Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pod Mavericks presents Group Therapy. It's about 25 minutes after Josh and I just did our recap show. I hope you are back in here and willing to talk a little bit of Mavericks with me. Those of you know the Dallas Mavericks fell to the Miami Heat again. Well, I guess the Mavericks beat them earlier this season, but now they're 4 games under 500, 37-41. They lost to the Miami Heat 129 to 122. For anybody that is new to the show or would like to participate in the YouTube pinned comments, I went and shared the joinable link, which all you need to do is click into that. It will bring you to a waiting room where you could come and hang out with me. I will bring you up on stage and we will talk a little bit about what that game was, what we think it means, and what we want to do with our time instead of watching the stinking Dallas Mavericks. That was just, I don't know. I had fun watching the game because the Mavericks were pretty wild offensively, but it just never really felt like they were in it. And Josh, Bo, my partner, kept telling me, I think they're in it. I think they're going to find a way. I think that something is going to happen. And I just never felt that way. Never felt that way. Okay, I have someone waiting, so we're just going to get right to it. Be sure to spread the word to anybody that you know that might want to participate in this. We had a great time last game, but I do understand if folks don't necessarily want to talk about this one and just want to move on, because frankly, the Dallas Mavericks play again against the Atlanta Hawks in a few hours. All right, coming up first is my friend Sam. Sam, welcome to the show. You are black screened at the moment, but that's okay. What's going on?
Oh, what's up? Yeah, I can't turn my camera right now. I'm kind of busy, but I'll be quick. First of all, 1, 2, 3, Cancun. Let's just get that out the way now
for all of us.
Yes, the season's over. They got to win 4 straight, and in God's name, I can't see that happening at this point. So it's over. Let's just get ready. Rest Luka. If they play tomorrow, God bless them. If they don't play tomorrow, I don't care at this point.
Luka played 44 and a half minutes.
Yeah, and he was great, and that's the sad part. He was great, and Tim Hardaway was great, and Kyrie was good, but and he wasn't complaining to the refs as much. So it's like he did everything he could possibly do, and like you said, it just felt like they weren't in the game the whole time.
Yeah,
even if they would get to like 4 or 5, it's like they're just not going to get above the hump. They're just not going to do it.
Yeah,
and that's been the season. Like Christian Wood, I try to defend him, but this dude is I don't know. Like I honestly don't know at this point. We got 4 games left. Let's just ride it out. Let's hope we can get a top 10 pick. Like I said, there's other shit on TV. I mean, the women's Final Four last night, that was pretty good.
How incredible was that game? Somebody said to me, I think that's the best game I've seen in the American Airlines Center this year, and it hurt me, but it was true.
Oh, I definitely believe it. Caitlin Clark is that woman, I guess you could say. So
her play was she borders on offensive. She's so brutal. She's fantastic.
Yeah, she's great. She's awesome. And then, they beat South Carolina. I didn't think that was going to happen. So that was good.
Those South Carolina ladies were incredible too. I was kind of surprised they didn't try to force the ball out of Caitlin's hands. It was really something else.
Yeah, it was incredible. That was a great game. And then today, FAU was fixing to go to the national championship game, and then the buzzer beater. I couldn't even imagine how I'd feel if I lost like that.
Yeah.
But like I said, great game there. And then you see the Mavericks, and it's just like, just pain.
It's just pain. That's right.
It's just pain. Like this whole season has just been, I've said it, with all the expectations, this is the worst season in Mavericks history.
Yeah.
Just all things considered, it's the worst. And I don't care anymore. Like at first I was mad, but I'm happy. I'm like, you know what? We deserve it. All the sins are coming to bite us in the ass finally. And 1, 2, 3 Cancun. I'm gonna go watch WrestleMania. You have a good one.
Oh, enjoy that WrestleMania. Yeah, that's probably why we're gonna get a lesser crowd tonight, but I don't blame anyone. These next 2 nights, really. All right, be good.
See you later, man.
Okay, coming up next is my man Iwan. And yeah, while we're all here, we got about 50 something folks in the live stream. I have no idea what good numbers are. If you have not, please go hit the subscribe button. Things very important to us. Please go and leave comments and that sort of thing too. And I'm trying to answer everybody. I've already gotten some messages about the show. Really appreciate that sort of thing. It's hard to do this whenever the team is stinky, but you know what? Coming up next is my man Iwan. Oh, I'm glad that so many of my favorite regulars have ported over from
What's up?
from Spotify Live. What's going on tonight, man?
Chilling, man. How you feeling? How you feeling after that?
I'm okay. I mean, like this weekend for me, my wife has abandoned me to Taylor Swift. And so I'm just kind of trying to survive and make it through, that sort of deal. And so I wasn't really watching the game all that close. And then I look up and the Mavericks, they had been up 8 and then they were down 8. And I thought I was crazy. So I go and check the game log. They had given up 16 points in 3 minutes in the first quarter.
Yeah. After that Tim Hardaway 3 in the first quarter, I'm like, ooh, we got a nice little lead going. It might be that game because Tim always plays good in Miami, his pop's home. So he loves playing there.
He looked good tonight,
too. Just like you did. I checked back. I'm like, wait, it's like 30 to 20 something. I'm like, what the hell happened in the last 3 minutes? It just was a blur.
That's right.
Blur. And I don't know, just watching this game, you see Kyrie, Luka, Tim. Like Tim showed up. Like, all Tim's shortcomings with, giving his best on defense and stuff. He got hot, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He got hot, and he's legit one of the best teammates that's been on Mavericks since he's been there. Whatever we have, but he's a fighter. He's gonna battle with you. You know what I'm saying? So I got no problem with him. I got no problem with him. And he draws charges, even though he's not the great defensively. He's putting his body on the line and he's doing something else to impact the game the best he can on the defensive end. You know what I'm saying? So that's good from him. But it's just seeing the role players, seeing Luka play 44 minutes, Kyrie 40-something minutes, Tim 40-something minutes, and the role players that clearly see that they're not going to be getting that much shots. They're not going to be getting that much looks.
Yeah.
And they're not exerting that much energy on offense. To be that bad on defense still it's mind-boggling to me. It's like, you're not putting no effort on the offense. You're not giving no offensive energy. So you should have more energy to be better on defense, box out better, dive for a loose ball. It's just, I'm like, yo,
It really hurts to get beat by a Zeller in the year 2023.
A Zeller. And he was on his couch like 2 months ago. Like,
yeah.
It's like, if you want a career game and you're a no-name player or someone that's like on the way out, it's like play our bigs, play our team. It's like you will get, you know what I'm saying? You will get it. Like earlier today, I had joined the 77 Spaces pregame show. And like how it's been all year, it's like we play a great defensive possession. We don't secure the rebound. And then the team just scores right after. It happened again tonight. It's like it's a constant thing every game.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah. Well, what else are we thinking?
Lastly, I don't know. We got to be cursed somehow, some way. I don't know what. Maybe we've been treating Dirk so bad. I just want to say shout out to Dirk because that's my favorite player of all time. And him getting inducted to the Hall of Fame with all his ops is kind of funny to me.
I mean, it's kind of uncomfortable. Like we're gonna talk about that more over the summer, but it's one of these things where I almost feel bad for him because he doesn't like Dwayne Wade, nor should he. But the fact that they keep getting put together in social situations means he can't be an asshole.
Yeah, that's a bad thing about it. And lastly, it's like you saw that possession that Christian would play some great defense on Tyler Hero. He blocked the shot, he got it back, and then he made a shot after. I'm like, that's been happening to us all year. I'm like, yeah, we are cursed. I'm just ready for the season. Like I always wanted us to be in the playoffs for that experience. You never know what can happen. But at this point, it's like I always want us to win. But at this point, it's just like get the season over with. Like just wash it all, clean it, cleanse, do us cleanse.
I'm looking forward to talking about something else. Like that's the real perk about potentially having a draft pick. Even so, I'm pretty sure they don't do the draft lottery till the conference finals.
Right.
So we would roughly have 3.5 weeks to wish cast into the universe about players and hopes and dreams and coin flips and all sorts of other stuff. So it's I'm just looking. I'm looking forward to that as an opportunity because we don't really get a lot of draft picks in Dallas. We can never talk about. And if you're going to miss the playoffs, you at least have a pick. I mean, we had a great time last year in the playoffs. We really, really did. But I don't look for they can't win enough games in a row.
Yeah,
and that's what's like. Oh well, they would have to win 4 out, and then they would have to win 2 playing games. It's like, guys, we only beat. No, like that. They can't do that. Like they can't do it. It's not possible.
And what's crazy is that I feel like OKC might still be losing games. So it's like it might still be a chance if OKC keep losing, and we're gonna still be dreading this another 4 games. It's like put us out of misery. The other team just win 2 games, so we know for sure we're done, and then we don't have to be worrying about it no more. But it's like these teams keep losing. It's like you still got a chance, still a shot. So
it's painful. Well, thank you so much for hanging out.
All right, man. We'll see how trade look tomorrow.
That's right. That's right. There's 13 games tomorrow. So by the time tomorrow night, we should have a much clearer situation of what's going to be, what the last final few stretch looks like. So thanks for hanging out.
All right, man. Take care.
All right. Before I go to the next person, I want to, because Iwan reminded me of, and retelling your own joke is some lame nonsense, but I cannot help myself because this tickled me when I was waiting in line at Chipotle and I decided to make this 2022-23 Dallas Mavericks season flex tape is Dirk Nowitzki stuff, just like that one. And then shout out to our man Nick Angstadt who caught this on the feed from Harp. It's hopefully I won't get a copyright infringement for this, but this was too damn funny. I had to bring this up. I'll turn your audio up because I'm not sure how loud it is here, but this one just tickled me to pieces. So thank you for this, Nick. So we're going to listen carefully.
Tyler Hero a moment ago hit a 3. Here's a pull-up by Kyrie Irving.
It's a nice penetrating thrust to the middle of the
All right. Sorry about that. Had to absolutely do that one. It killed me. A couple of people have noted that as much as we like Tim doesn't hit clutch time shots. No one on the team hits clutch time shots. If you actually go look at their 3-point shooting percentage, it is painful. Okay, coming up next is my man, Chris. Chris, welcome back to the show. What's going on?
Nothing. That Dirk Harper thing. At this juncture, nice penetrating thrust.
I cannot believe he said that. I was not
crazy.
really
So,
listening. It's great.
This sums up the Mavs season right here. Just take
cold and flu.
Just take your medicine. Yeah, man. Yeah, just to me, just keep losing. I saw a new website, tankathon.com, and yeah, right now.
Have you not gone to Tankathon? Is that new for you?
Never.
You're gonna live there. It is
win.
Tankathon is crack cocaine when you're losing. You cannot help but go visit it. You're gonna check it multiple times a day from here on out. Yeah.
Especially tomorrow. There's so many games tomorrow, like you said. Second out of a back-to-back. I'm so torn. And I was like, if I root for them to win, I think they're going to lose. If I root for them to lose, I think they're going to win.
Sure. And
now OKC, they got a somewhat tough schedule. I don't know. I think we kind of do too, besides the Spurs, obviously. But really, like you said, if we win 2 games, I mean, oh God, I don't know, man. I don't want to be in that 11th spot, man. I just. Even right now, we would still have a 19% chance of getting the 11th spot.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean that the flattening of the odds is really it's a good thing. It really is. It's upsetting, but it's a good thing for the NBA. But that's where it's just you got to give yourself the best possible odds winning these games. But they're still trying to win. That's what's very evident. They just can't. So it's like I don't really feel bad talking about this stuff because they're unable to win.
Yeah, it's honestly. And one of the reasons why I hate watching all-star games is the piss poor defense. But those teams play more defense than the Mavericks right now. This is horrible every single possession. And we were good as far as offense. 61% from 2-point.
They were cooking. It was nuts. Most of that was Luka from 2-point range. But yes.
And we get 1 offensive rebound. I mean, it's just I know that the Heat had 12 more free throws, but good God, we were doing great on offense, field goal wise, but we still lose by 7.
That's right.
This is I watched that After Dark episode already, and like Josh said, this This just stinks. This team sucks.
I got to tell you, it's amazing being in a live chat with Josh during the game because, and Josh is, now I love all of our Mavs guys. I'll just tell you guys this, and Cato might attest to this. Had the dice rolled a little differently several years ago, Cato and Bo might have switched places. Josh is an incredible basketball mind, really able to like this when he's analyzing basketball. And during our live shows, during the game, as we're all talking to each other for Mavs stuff, he'll sit there and say, this is what's going to happen. And he's usually right. But these last 10 games, they just keep like getting this close and then they'll collapse. And that's what tonight's game was. I mean, that when Tim got elbowed in the face by Kevin Love and he hit the 2 free throws, he's like, this is going to be a 5-point possession because Luka's going to drill a 3. And he nearly did. And it's just like the game was very, very close. And there's so many of those this year. You know, what I think 52 clutch games at this point. Had 5 of those gone differently, we're just talking about a different set of things, you know? And
we know probably 20 off top of our head that it's like this game, oh, I remember that one, like, and we lose by 2 or 1 point. This has been the absolute most frustrating season. We're going to just keep talking about it until this. I just want us to be put out of our misery. Honestly, I feel like tonight we were in the playoffs and we were down 0-3 and we're down 20 points in the fourth quarter. It just felt like the season's already over.
Yeah.
And now we still got 4 games. I don't even want to root against my team, man, but this just
I don't think you're not rooting against them. I still root for good, entertaining basketball. And I've yet to really say, even on Twitter, where I normally shoot my mouth off, I don't think tanking. I don't see them trying to lose. You know, Luka's still
not trying to tank, but putting themselves in position to have a roster, the roster, but the lineups out there. Not even playing McGee, not saying he would.
But this has been Kid's MO the whole year. Yeah. Part of why we're here is he plays bad lineups. He doesn't know what works.
A kid, they're spiting the Knicks so much for getting Brunson, and now we're just like, well, we're going to keep your draft pick now. I just hope it works in our favor. I don't know any of these draft prospects coming up, but damn it, if we get a solid player, that might kind of like heal some of the wounds of losing Brunson.
Sure.
Last question. Who are some players that we are like absolutely tied to? I'm not going to Google like contracts. Like I guess Maxi Kleber maybe. Players that have to be on the Mavs next year. Like,
Maxi's one.
We can absolutely move on from and not really affect us too much.
That's a great question.
I mean, Theo Pinson, yeah, you can cut him, and he keeps costing.
Yeah, he got a tech today. Like,
yeah, that's
Theo.
I forgot he was on the team, and I'm like. Of course, yeah. Okay, you're on the team still. You got a technical foul. But yeah, I'm just wondering, like, how many roster spots you think we'll probably have open in the summertime?
Ooh,
players that they could just move on from and fix this problem that we have on defense and rebounding.
Man, they're going to have to do such a roster overhaul. I'm hopeful that we see the biggest roster overhaul since Luka got there. That's
please, anything. I'll take G League players. Anything. Just get some players that can freaking defend, man. And like you said, I think Kyrie stays too. Just the money's too. What is the difference between like that extra year? Is it like 35 million, 40 million?
It's a year, and then it's like the base salary increases.
Okay. And with him not being on that night, are you still there?
Whoops. Not particularly worried about the Kyrie thing. Yeah. Brief internet connection.
Losing that Nike deal, I mean, the money has to be in. I mean, you assume, right? I mean, you don't know what's going through Kyrie's mind, but you assume that the money has to be. You want to recuperate it somewhat, getting that extra year. So, and playing in Texas, no state income tax. But we always keep thinking these things, and then players leave and all. But I hope he stays. So
I do too, man. I do too. Well, thanks for hanging out, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I'm grateful for the regulars. All right, so we got 3 folks waiting currently. Doe in the chat asks, how do you join? So we'll just go over that again. In the pinned comments in YouTube, there's a link that brings you into a waiting room. You can hang out in there until I call and bring you up on stage, similar to Spotify Live, though you might not be staring at anything interesting. Coming up next is Joe. Welcome to the show, Joe. We might only have an audio only connection, but that's just fine. What's going on?
Hey, good evening, man. Great show as always.
Thank you.
The Mavericks. Can you hear me okay?
I can. You sound great.
Oh, thank you. The Mavericks, it's kind of a tired story. So in light of Dirk going into Hall of Fame, I want to bring up some things about Dirk and really just express to people what he really came through. Because, getting over the heartache of the 2006 finals with Avery Johnson, losing to Miami Heat when they had a 2-0 lead, calling the ill-fated timeout in Game 5 in between free throws that I don't know if people remember.
Yep.
That pretty much shot their chance of trying to, shoot a 3 to tie the game. And then to suffer that, and then to suffer what happened 2007, to basically completely run ramshot through the entire NBA, winning, I believe, 68 games that year, and then to meet your kryptonite and the Golden State Warriors, who were coached by the coach who drafted you and knew you up and down and knew what made you tick.
Yep.
And to lose that and to not only that, but to be voted MVP and to be out of the playoffs when he was voted. I don't think that's happened before either.
No, that was the first one. That press conference hurt because he's just like sitting there in a room. Yeah.
I mean, who comes back from that? And then to see what happened and what happened in 2011 when they beat and see Portland was a really tough team. Portland, they were no pushovers, and the series was tied 2-2. And people don't realize in Game 4 of that series, they had a really big lead in Portland, and they let it get away, and they let Portland tie the series 2-2.
That was
everybody thought that.
Anybody that's old enough remembers that. Like that was a horror show of a game.
It was. And to come back from that and to basically, and Dirk said there's no way, in the game he had in Game 5 that people remember, where he refused their team to lose. And then they closed out in Game 6 in Portland. Then to play LA, who I don't know if people remember, earlier before the playoffs, they got destroyed by LA on TNT. I mean, Lakers were just high-fiving. They beat them by 25, 30 points, whatever. And to actually go in there and to win the first game, to win the second game, and to basically sweep the two-time defending champions. And people realize that when they did that, that's when the Mavericks really believed, because they thought LA was the best team.
Yep.
Even with some of the stuff they were going through. When they swept the LA, that really gave them confidence. And then, of course, they played OKC, and that's when Jeff Gundy made the famous thing that Serge Ibaka was guarding Dirk, and he said, "I'm going to name my firstborn Dirk," because of what Dirk did to him the first game in that series. I think he scored 50. That was incredible.
48
but then
points on 15 shots.
Right, and it culminates with Game 2 of the finals when basically Dwayne Wade and LeBron James are like doing a Rocky thing after being up, I think, by 15 points, like around 8 or 9 minutes in the fourth quarter, doing it in front of the bench when the Mavericks see that, and for what they did to come back in that game and to win that game and to split the series. If they don't win that game, they don't win the series. Yeah. Because people don't realize that they lost Game 3 and they were down 2-1, and they had to fight to tie it and then fight to win Game 5.
Yeah.
And then close out in Game 6. And what's so funny is that Dwayne Casey did such a great job on LeBron. I mean, LeBron even admits it. He said he completely took him out of the series. That ever since that, he has destroyed. Like, he destroyed the Raptors every time he played them. And there was something personal against Dwayne Casey. And when people say that LeBron was not feared, I guarantee you the fucking Raptors and Dwayne Casey, they did not want to see LeBron in the playoffs because LeBron got his revenge every fucking year they played.
There's an argument to be made that DeMar DeRozan's playoff stats are so bad simply because he had to deal with LeBron every year.
Remember the ridiculous shot he made where he was like on the right side and he was like, his body was contorted and he just threw a shot right off the backboard with like 1 or 2 seconds to win the game, win one of the games on the road. I mean, he just demoralized that team. And then with Jason Terry, when Jason Terry was on the Celtics, remember he made that famous dunk and he kind of stood right over Jason Terry.
I mean, that's just one of the most incredible dunks in NBA history. So
Oh yeah. So it just I mean and that's why like people talk about the best series, the best finals run. You cannot say that it wasn't the Mavericks because they had to beat the two-time defending team. They had to beat a team that had James Harden, KD,
I mean, if
Russell
he went through
Westbrook.
4 once and future MVPs. And,
Yes.
yeah.
And then a team that later won 2 finals in a row. So you cannot say, and that was Dirk's Kobe moment. I swear, Dirk played the 2011, especially the finals, like Kobe.
Yep.
And I think he learned a lot from just seeing what Kobe did because Kobe always killed the Mavericks,
Yep.
And he said, this time I'm going to do it to other teams. And he's such a great guy. And, it just couldn't happen to a better person.
We're going to have a great time this summer. It's going to be very much, there's some tweet that popped over the last several, was like earlier last year where it was like, guys can sit around and talk about old sports players forever. There might be a lot of that come this summer. So we will be doing this again and again. And I hope people understand because talking about Dirk is great, though there's it's very, Dirk gave us such highs that these lows really suck.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's so true, man.
Well, Joe, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Had a good time. Have a good night.
All right, good. Hope you come back. Talk soon. All right. We got a lot of people waiting. This is great. Up next, we're going to go to my man Brandom. Then we got Jonathan, Doe, and Derek. So I will get to everyone because that is what this show does. Until we're popular enough to where I can't actually do this forever, we're going to hang out with everybody that is willing to hang out with us. So let's go to Brandom, my man joining me from Spotify Live, another transition. Thanks for hanging out. What's up, man?
Man, I'm well, Kirk. This is a lot easier for me to click on and not mess it up. So, man, congratulations.
It's easier.
For coming on
Okay.
YouTube. This is fun.
Yeah, no, but I didn't want people to see my face. Like I've had to like shave more regularly and like comb my hair and make sure this is, when I have a face for radio. So this makes this really difficult. So what's going on?
Yeah, man, I left a comment in the message earlier when you after 1,000 subscribers, you'll get a chance to get monetized. You'll throw the little
eventually. Yeah, we got to get a whole bunch of hours, but not immediately.
Yeah, man. But I kind of wonder. Thinking back to the older teams, if I would have somebody like maybe Finley or Sean Marion, if I would Dirk, have one of those guys, or maybe Stackhouse present, because maybe the younger generation don't know how important Finley, Stackhouse, and Sean Marion were to Mavericks history, because a lot of those teams were terrible, and pre Jason Terry, they were kind of the players that the Mavericks depended on whenever they couldn't get a lot of scoring out of a lot more out of Dirk. The way that they milked Luka, they couldn't just milk Dirk like that. But they had those guys in there. And I would say out of those three, or maybe I don't know, I could be wrong, but I would say that probably the most integral player that Dirk probably had was Sean Marion, because for a while he was clutch so much to what Dallas needed. And he's had a lot of good teammates, but as far as consistency on a year in and year out basis to what Dallas needed, in a rotational or positional player, it seems like Marion was probably the most integral player.
I agree with this. And Marion, when he was part of the last 4-team mega trade that felt nuts. If you were 2008, Twitter existed, but nobody was on it then. Was it 2008? Right. Yeah, it really was. And Marion was the guy who I thought, other than Bruce Bowen, I thought Marion guarded Dirk the best. And so to get the guy that was sort of Dirk's kryptonite, I felt was really important. And he was an Iron Man for the Mavericks. I love Sean Marion. What I really love about Sean Marion is how testy he gets about the 2011 title team, where he still thinks they're disrespected. It's my favorite.
Man, that dude, now I think about it, he was an Iron Man. He kind of, and for a while, Stack, at the end of his time with the Mavericks, he was a little hurt, but for a while, Stack was, rolling in games too. But Stackhouse, Finley, Sean Marion, those guys, they were, hard-nosed players that, I'm pretty sure you heard the stories about Stackhouse, but even on the court, they were hard-nosed players. And man, I would say next to Pippen, I don't know, maybe Pippen and maybe Kawhi. I can't think of a mid-range J. Maybe LeBron that's better than Sean Marion's, because I mean his mid-range game was just like it was ice. It was ice water. It was something that it was on repeat every time.
It was weird. All sorts of weird shots.
It was very weird. It was very weird. But I mean, to me, I think once Dirk kind of looks back at his time in the NBA, along with the legacy of playing with Dallas, but just Dallas being so competitive throughout that time. I mean, the West was really tough, and San Antonio kind of Lakers kind of dominated, but consistently with Rick, I think it was 10 years in a row. I don't think those other teams outside of San Antonio can honestly say that they went 10 years into the playoffs 10 years in a row. They were getting bounced, and a lot of those were kind of fluky because the West was kind of on a decline. But that's still an accolade that I don't think a lot of teams can really say is a milestone. So I don't know, but I'm interested to hear kind of if Dirk kind of goes all in like Jordan did during his Hall of Fame speech. He's probably more calm than that, but I'd be interested to see what he would say.
We're going to have a lot of fun talking about Dirk this summer. Well, thank you for joining us, man. You got anything else you want to talk about? Anything you disliked from the game other than the loss?
That 74 points in the first half is kind of an anomaly, but man, just looking at how, I don't know, just looking at how those dudes move. They're tall and they move like 80s players. They're just left, right, front, and back. There's no athleticism. So I don't know. Jimmy Butler saw that and he just like went to work on him. And I don't know.
Butler played an amazing game.
I would take a defender over anything this draft if they do get a pick. I would take a Rodman over anybody else because man, they got scoring. They just need help. They definitely need help on the defense.
Well, hopefully we'll have a draft pick to talk about. Thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thanks, Kirk.
All right, let's go next to my man Jonathan, who's been waiting. Jonathan, thank you so much for waiting and hanging out with us. What's going on, my guy?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can. That's a cool logo you have there on your screen.
Thank you. Wow, I just have a lot of things on my mind.
Let's hear it. I'll mute myself.
I mean, I don't know. I'm like on the younger side, I guess, of like Mavs fans. Like, I was pretty young when the Mavs won the championship, like 9 or something. But this is probably the worst year of like Mavs basketball I've like ever seen. Like, I thought Rick was this one. I mean, the other ones, like, we didn't have like expectations, like, to like do stuff. Like, I thought Rick was like bad, but comparing him to Kid right now, like, I just wish I have like Rick back here.
It's really something. I'm gonna post a link in the chat from my friend Katie Heindel, who wrote this article called "The Implosion of the Dallas Mavericks," and she had it's one of the meanest things I've ever read about the team that was not intentional. It was not like hateful. It's just brutal. She wrote this: "I've got bad news for Kid, who all season has presented like the grasshopper in the ant and grasshopper in the ant and grasshopper fable, whiling away his summer until winter arrived, and unprepared freezes to death while the ants hunker down and feast. The playoffs are here and you're not currently in them." And that just really spoke to me in the sense of Kid has played this whole season like they were going to get to the playoffs and be fine. And obviously they're not.
At least no one died.
We're going to get to use that for years. So in that regard, I can't be mad about Kid.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of wondered what happened to AJ Lawson. Like, did he just like disappear? Like the one game he was having a really good game, and then he got hurt at the end of the game, and like never saw him again, basically.
I mean, he's like, his problem is he's so thin. I really like him. I watched him in summer league. He's like 6'5" and like 185 pounds, and that's tough in the NBA. But I still would have liked to have seen more of him from time to time.
I just want Kid to like do something. Like, I know he's trying. I think he's trying, but
Hands
I
in his
just
pockets.
yeah, I don't know. I just hope I hope we lose out and we get Wemby first pick. I mean,
Man, if once this, I'm gonna love talk. If the Mavericks get in the draft, I'm going to love talking about possibilities right up until the lottery, because there's a
yeah,
lot of guys I'm very interested in. I love draft stuff, and I play some video games with guys who are like draft, like that's just what they do. And so I've heard about a number of these guys for years, and I've talked myself into like 7 different guys. It's great.
yeah. I also like how Mark was like talking about like wasn't gonna make the same mistake with like Steve Nash and with Jalen
Mm.
Brunson, the situation, and he literally did the same. I don't know. I don't think I was like young when Steve Nash left, so I don't know if it's the same situation, but
So the Steve Nash thing, Steve was hitting 30. He had back problems, and there was a pretty good justification for Cuban letting him walk. He turned himself into an MVP player after the fact, changed his diet,
Mhm.
changed his life. Brunson, I don't think will obviously not be a 2-time MVP. So it's a different, but what he meant to the team, I just don't think we can understate his impact.
yeah,
And
I
that
was advocating like offering him the max because I felt like I saw him just like score 40 something points in the playoffs and like carrying the team without Luca. Like that justifies like I would have paid him the max because the salary cap's going to go up a lot in the upcoming years. So like
yeah.
I just felt like you just can't lose an asset like that.
You
nothing.
absolutely can't. That's what's that. As we get away from it, it's only going to look worse.
Yeah.
You know,
If he
Brunson.
walks for like without the max, like
Mhm.
so be it. But at least we tried.
I mean, I never would have thought that he was worth the max, to be fair, but we don't really make those choices, and it's not on us. So if our opinion wasn't the same, it's like it's the Mavericks front office's job to rate and figure out these players, and they couldn't do it, and they don't ever seem to be able to do it. Sorry, you know, like Luca's a gimme. I'm not giving anybody, I'm glad they made the trade for him, obviously, but it's like I'm getting into these arguments with people about Wembanyama who are like worried about his injury history, yada yada yada. Okay, he's still a 7'5" guy who plays like KD. Can we not? Let's not overthink this with Luca, because Luca, like in 2018, Luca was killing people, and he was 19, 17, 18 years old. Like it's not. I'm not going to give the Mavs a cookie for doing the obvious thing. But they're just such a frustrating team to follow.
Yeah, and they just like re-signed Maxey, and that contract is.
It doesn't look good. It didn't look good then. It's like I like Maxey. I'm a fan of his, but they rely on him too much.
Yeah, and they're just gonna keep on running him down, like, and that's another $10 million that we could have like signed like someone like Bruce Brown or like.
Well, they're already so far over the cap. Like their books are a mess.
Oh, yeah,
it's incredible. So it's like in that regard, I don't hate it. Maybe they'll be able to trade him for something, but I doubt it.
Yeah. And also I just want to say I love like actually seeing your face instead of like just listening on Spotify. It's just like more enjoyable for like experiencing like the show and stuff.
Appreciate that. I've also been told that the audio is a heck of a lot better. So I'm glad in that regard that people are enjoying it more. Now all we got to do is get people to continue to like, leave comments, subscribe, all that sort of stuff, and we'll eventually get to the point to where, because I don't understand this, but it really does seem like a lot of people will hop on YouTube and look for stuff like this. Because this is inside baseball, but even with our small show, I'm seeing like 30% of our traffic being search, people looking, like coming across us via search, and that's interesting.
Yeah, people are like always like, people have a lot of free time sometimes, and they're just like want to just listen to something or just. And if you just like search up like someone wants to listen to like Mavs or anything like Mavs talk, and they just see like, oh, I never seen these people before, and they like take a listen, and
Yeah, I think the barrier for entry for some people, once they were in Spotify, they liked it, but it's like getting someone to download an app. There's different barriers for everybody, but I'm glad people are at least giving it a try.
Yeah, YouTube's it's more discoverable. You're gonna get like newcomers, like a lot newcomers eventually. It's just like a grind.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. Like I'm gonna do this anyways. I might as well be talking with people that I like,
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining. I appreciate it, Jonathan.
Yeah, my first time, and I enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you.
Outstanding. We'll talk soon, man. Hope you come back.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, coming up next then is my guy Derek, who is waiting. Derek, thank you for taking this long and talking with us.
What's up, Kirk? How's it going?
It's good. How are you tonight?
I'm hanging in there.
Yeah, we got another Spotify live transfer. Thank Derek taking the time to port over from our other show. So what's going on?
Oh man, yeah, it's first time to talk in a while. So I usually have the kids up this time of night, so it's like, but anyway, yeah. I was saying in the chat earlier, I wasn't ready to give up after the first Charlotte game, and I wasn't ready to give up after the second Charlotte game, or even the Philly game. But tonight, I'm ready to give up, Kirk.
Okay. I think it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to cede ground at this point.
Yeah, like there's 4 games to go. I just don't see the point in trying to win these games just to get into the 10th spot.
I mean, it would be more embarrassing to make the play in and lose in the first round than not make it at all.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, when do you think they'll just, throw up the white flag and just say, like,
I don't think they will, because I think they're trying to skirt the fine line, because giving up is not something Luka Doncic is going to be happy with. And I nor should he be, frankly. And that makes things a little bit hard to process sometimes. It's very because you don't want to piss off Luka, you don't want to piss off Kyrie. So instead, this is just this is what I had expected. Like, this is natural. They're just losing.
Yeah, it's just like you said. It's like, this is not like a tanking at all. It's like we're trying to win, and it's like it's not working out. So, but like even if say things I mean, I hope if they do keep on trying to win and they lose, obviously, hopefully we keep our pick this year. I know you've this team has like so many holes to it. So it's like, especially like obviously like on defense, like Bill Simmons, a couple podcasts ago talked about just like how the center landscape has changed in the NBA, where you look at most teams and they have, a pretty solid center that is on their team. And, of course, he didn't list one from our team because, like, why would he? Because we don't have one. But I realize too, like that's where kind of Porzingis kind of filled that role. And then once we traded him, we kind of played this like offense, really designed for Kleba to just kind of be a spread, 3-point shooting team. And, where we really just don't have a traditional center on the roster. And that's where I guess the McGee signing really came into play, and they were like, this is going to work. And it obviously didn't, when he was like a third stringer on the Suns last year. Anyway, so I don't know, like, what your thoughts are on, if we do get this top 10 pick, I almost think like at that point it is worth re-signing Kyrie, because we did have the ammunition to kind of get better. If we don't get the top 10 pick, does it make sense not to sign Kyrie? I know that won't make sense to Luka as far as like trying to win, but like, what avenue do we have to get better? Besides, I guess like there's some, there's really no players in free agency that we have this year.
They don't have any ability to sign anyone. Over the cap. So to answer your question as follows, I think I sort of wish free agency was before the draft, like the NFL. That would make a lot of this easier. I think that what you do is you have two courses. First, you hope in the lottery that the Mavericks get their pick. If they get their pick and it's 10th, which is more they're most likely to be, I think they would probably trade that pick for a player. I think if they bump into the top 4, that is a completely different discussion that allows for a lot of things because this is a talented draft. If you were to get luck, because it's either top 4 or number 1, or stay where you are. If they were to get number 1, you draft Victor Wembanyama, and you do not think about it. Like I am gonna have a great time arguing with people about this, but that's that. So if you stay 10th, which is that's the most statistically likely outcome. You move a player, you re-sign Kyrie, and you hope for the best. That's what you do because they would have to retool a lot of their roster.
So if that's the case, and I don't know this, like just looking back at trade history, like, you know, what kind of player do you think we can get if we traded our, you know, if it is say like number 10?
It's a great question. And I don't have a good answer. And here's why. That pick is valuable right up until you make it. Okay. So you're assuming what someone else wants at 10. All right. That's where it's hard, where you just don't know what the appetite is. Is there a guy out there that, I don't know, somebody wants to go from, 17th to 10th to pick up? You know, it's like you look at what when the Kings selected, what's the guy's name? He's out there playing with the Pacers right now. The Mavericks tried to trade up for him. I'm going to lose my mind with
Turner? Or no?
No, the guard.
I know what you're talking about. Halliburton.
Halliburton's an example. You move heaven and earth for a guy that you think is the guy. That's what I'm getting at. So you just don't really know that sort of thing. But that's how the Mavericks could improve quickly for next season.
So so this is just like because I'm just like, out there right now. Is Embiid, do you think, is out of the question?
No, that's a good one.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
I do think that Embiid is more likely to try to be like, all right, let's switch up and bring somebody here.
Yeah.
But Embiid is one of those guys because he just hasn't gotten it done. He's not, he's never made it past the second round. That's a very interesting one.
And he's close to 30. And they, if Harden leaves this summer, like that's been floated out there.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really have, like, their next first round pick, I think, is like 2024 in 2026 because of what they gave up for the trades. So I don't know. That was somebody that I just thought of that was just like, oh, what a pipe dream with Kyrie and Embiid on this team. But what else do we have left? After that is
and I think you'd probably have to part with him for just for that sort of thing. Yeah. So Cowboy in the chat asks, what about Celtics players? I'm curious if one of the Celtics would want out if they fail this season. I think that the most reasonable pipe dream player on the market is actually Jaylen Brown, who did not get along with Kyrie when they were in Boston, but became friends kind of after the fact. And that's one I would keep my eye on.
Man, that'd be awesome too. I'd love Jaylen Brown on this team.
For sure.
Yeah, that's that's all I got. I appreciate it, Kirk.
Sure, man.
Thanks a lot for bringing me up.
Absolutely. Glad you joined us. All right. Appreciate it. We're going to go to my man Doe next, who has jumped in and out a few times. So I'm going to let him skip the line. Doe, what's up?
Hey, Kirk. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you doing this a whole lot. And sorry about that. I'm just trying to move my way around this new format. So the quick question, first one I have for you, jumping on the last caller, if you were to keep the pick, what position would you want to pick between a wing or a power forward or another guard? What do you think we need?
So I think everybody in the world would want the Mavericks to pick a big just because we keep getting waxed on the boards. But if you really go look at kind of the players that are available in your top 10-ish range, like talent-wise, based off of what all these smart people think, the closest big after Victor Wembanyama is where is this guy? Is he fallen that far? I just had him up on Jarris Walker. who's a freshman at Houston, 6'8", 240 pounds, massive wingspan. He's like the kind of guy that's the only other big though. Everybody else is a wing. I mean, everybody. You go through it. My personal favorite, because I've watched him since he was a freshman in high school, is Anthony Black out of Arkansas. He went to the same high school I did, so I just like took an interest. Everybody else is different. Like there's a guy that's on UConn right now, 7'2" guy that looks really fun, but he's not somebody you would go pick that big. Like Kyle Flip, I can't even say his name, Duke freshman who just looks like a Duke freshman. He's one that's out there. Like there's all sorts of different guys, and I'm not well versed enough to talk about it, but like I would want a wing. I would want the Mavericks to go get a big off the market. Like the defensive, like wings are still the currency of the NBA. That's what I want. So
yeah, the Brandon Miller kid from Alabama looks pretty good, and Thompson twins and that kid from Hendricks from UCF, I kind of like him. Sure. I like him tall, lanky, athletic, because we don't have any athletic people on our team.
I mean,
really.
Miller would be the perfect Maverick because he comes in with baggage and he's problematic. So that seems like the most likely pick.
Yeah, him and Kyrie. Yeah, that'd be great.
Him, Kyrie, kid, all of them. They can all how to never mind. I'm not going to finish the sentence that was in my head.
Yeah, they're very quotable, let's just say. So. My other question is, I proposed this early in the year, if you don't remember, because I knew Kidd was going to cost us a lot of close games. So what will it take to fire Kidd? I mean, what event do you think will happen? Him trying to usurp Nico?
Oh, no. I just think they'll have a discussion after the season. I mean, Kidd was brought in to do a thing. They made it to the Western Conference Finals, fine. But the way Luka has regressed has to be addressed. Now, when I say regressed, I don't want the Slovenians of the world to come and kill me, but he has behaved differently or worse. And I think a lot of that can be held on every other person involved with the Mavericks.
So if you segue into that, I have another question. What would be the best way to improve the leadership of the team?
Did you listen to the last show I did? It was on Friday afternoon.
I remember faintly. I was listening in the background.
So my man Matt Moore and I talked about this. I don't see an NBA coach that could command his respect, and that's a problem. But I also don't see an NBA coach that really commands anybody's respect. Mike Brown has gotten away with what he has out in Sacramento because there's not really a true superstar on the team. The guys that make $35 to $50 million, how do you reach them? They have to want to be reached. And I think Luka is coachable. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying when there's that big of a disparity between pay, it makes coaching a guy difficult because you're wondering if I piss him off, am I gone? That's what happened to Carlisle. Carlisle decided pretty early he wasn't going to win, and so he kept his mouth shut. And, part of why Luka wanted him gone was because Luka didn't like how he treated everybody else. It wasn't how he treated Luka. It was how he treated everyone else.
Interesting. So you think Brunson had a lot to do with maybe calming Luka down and, kind of being a buffer
tough.
between him and the rest of the players?
I think there's a lot to be said about the fact that they're friends. And
yeah,
anybody that you kind of grow up with for 3 years, 4 years of your career, you're going to be close to. They signed off, or like Luka signed off on Dorian Finney-Smith getting traded. Luka was quoted in saying he's happy that Brunson got paid. It's like the Mavericks made a value, and I can't remember who sent this to me, but somebody said this to me yesterday that Jalen Brunson is the perfect guard to attack 26 out of the 30 teams in the league, and then 4 teams he can't get buckets on. And go look at what he did against the Warriors. Go look at and it was just kind of it wasn't a takedown of Brunson, but it was just like you understand why the Mavericks decided not to go with him. I still think they should have, but it's what the Mavericks did to get in the situation and whether they made Luka unhappy or not is just, it's hard to say. He wants to win, and that's understandable.
Or do you think he'll shake Luka up enough to realize that, he's still very immature, especially toward the refs and those outbursts that he has,
Not missing the playoffs. I really do. I like, you need a wake-up call at some point in life. No, Josh Bowe wrote about this. No all-time great has ever missed the playoffs after, in the prime of their career. without injury.
Yeah, I'm rooting for them to tank. It's tough for me to do so, but I think it's better for the, overall health of the team for the future, because we're not going anywhere.
Yeah. Well, I understand that, but I just think instead of tanking, they're just not going to win.
Yeah, especially with the roster we have and Kid making the decisions and all these close games that we have,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks again, Kurt. I really appreciate you going to the trouble of setting up this new format.
Well, it's fun. I've been needing to do it. People have been telling me for a while. I just didn't want to try anything new. And I think all the old heads in here can appreciate that. All right, man. Thanks so much.
Bye. Good night.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go to my man Josh and then Micah, and then we will be done. Josh, what's up, guy?
Can you hear me?
I can.
I'm not on Wi-Fi. Warning.
I'm pretty good then.
Oh, cool. I'm walking the streets of Chicago dejectedly.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. I just kind of am going to come in with a little bit of well, first off, this interface is better. So good work, and that's cool that it worked out the way it worked out for the show. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. What else are we thinking?
Basically, man, I hate to be the dude, but I'm all right being the dude. With all the talk, because all the social media, all the podcast media, kind of has gone out of its way to be like, oh, this isn't Kyrie's fault. And it's true, it's not Kyrie's fault. But to be honest with you, it was an awful trade. Because
sure, for nothing to do with him, just for the fact that they gave up the things that made them work.
Like Spencer Dinwiddie, I'm sorry, but he gives you the same, if not more. And like you had said on multiple podcasts, he's just longer. He
was an awful defender, though, man. I got tired of watching. Like Kyrie plays much better defense and tries harder.
I don't know, man. When they get into the whole thing about, because you listen to all the broadcasts,
sure.
And when the broadcasts go national, they say, number one fourth quarter scorer. I've been watching him, man, and he will hit an amazing, crowd-pleasing wow bucket, and then he'll take another two that don't do it.
Sure.
And I just don't see it. What I see is people kind of, pardon my French, but people kind of having like a basketball jerk-off session about him, you know what I mean? About him doing some dope shit. And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the obsession with Iwan, when Iwan was like so dope, and it's like, oh, the professor. And it's like, yeah, I mean, we watch White Chocolate. And I mean, he was really exciting, but he didn't really affect winning. And I'm sorry, but I feel similarly about him. And so you lose a guy who I feel was pretty much similar, and then you lose your defensive angle.
Ooh, we might have lost our guy. Yep, we lost our guy. Okay. Well, Josh, I'll tell you this. I like Kyrie. I do understand that people don't. I think Kyrie has had a pretty good honeymoon in Dallas. After he got hurt in that Memphis game, he didn't really play well for several games. But I like Kyrie, and I'm gonna. They traded for him, and I think it's important that they re-sign him. Okay. Last but not least, we got our man Micah, who's been waiting diligently. What's going on, Micah?
What's going on, Kirk? Can you hear me?
I can. Turn your phone sideways. We'll get the full view.
Like this?
portrait mode. That's fine. You're fine. Don't worry about it. It's good. There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's just these guys are good. They're just not good, Kirk. It's we literally have, I would say, the best duo in the league while simultaneously having the worst core. Because It's like, I started thinking about it, like, if you look at the top 10 in both conferences, who outside of Luka and Kyrie is starting on any of those teams? Like,
nobody, not in a playoff setting.
Nobody. I mean, Josh Green might start over PJ Tucker. That's even iffy.
Yeah.
Like the version of Josh that we're seeing right now. Like, I would have done. I like the trade, but if what was reported is true, and they were asking about Josh Green, I feel like you would have been better off just sending them Reggie and Josh and keeping Dorian. Like,
it's interesting. It's interesting. It's tough to give up a guy on his rookie contract, is what I'll say.
It's tough, but it's just like there's something about these Australians, Kirk. I don't know what it is.
Well, Josh Green is like still learning how to play basketball. I mean, that's the difference between like him and Hardy. Is like Green is not a consistent player because he's never been really that good at basketball. He's been skilled and he's been athletic, but Hardy can come in and do things that Josh can't because like Hardy's just played more basketball.
Yeah, that's true. And it's just, but I mean, like at the end of the day, and I can't stand Kidd as a coach. I think we should go a different route, but at the same time, what trigger is he supposed to pull? Like, I mean, if everybody in our front court is getting their faces melted off by Cody Zeller and the remains of Kevin Love, like, I mean, what does he do about that? So it's just, it's sad. It's like, these guys have no shame. Like, you're letting a guy making less than $1 million a year and a guy that was a buyout bully you and make you look like little kids, and there's nothing you can do about it. So,
well, I mean, they just need to they need to rework 50% of the roster. They won't be able to get off some guys, but they need something entirely new. And they started it by going and getting Kyrie. And I didn't think they'd be this bad, but I also thought they'd probably be a first round exit.
Yeah. But as response to the last caller, talking about Spencer, he is aware that when Spencer was the primary decision maker, we had the worst offense in the league, right? Is he aware of that?
Yeah.
Number 30 in offense every second that Luke was on the bench.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's great to say this guy is that or that, but they're just not. And it's funny. I was talking about one of my other guys that I follow and talk to a lot, Chris at Hoop Spaces, and I'm like, man, people are going to be on this app arguing about who should be getting minutes, Powell or C. Wood. And I'm like, y'all do realize that's like telling Chris that French fries clear mashed potatoes.
Sure.
He's going to tell you maybe, but they're both terrible.
I hear you.
I mean, I'm so done with C. Wood. Like, I feel like that was a mistake. And it's just, we keep on compounding these mistakes with tweeners. Like, that has to be the worst, one of the worst prototypes in the league right now is pretty much tweeners and specialists that can't defend.
Right. That's right.
So,
well, Micah, thank you for hanging out late.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, this is pretty cool. Thanks for starting it up.
Absolutely. I'm glad you joined us, as always. Okay, so I'm going to go to bed because I'm tired. We'll be doing this again tomorrow night. I'll schedule some shows at some point tomorrow when they'll go on. For those of you who are listening on the podcast, Josh and I did about a 20-minute show that should be in your feed. This will be the same thing, and I'll probably have it up by around lunch tomorrow. But these weekend shows, they don't really do near what we do during the week. So thanks so much for hanging out. If you're still in here, please click that like button. Go ahead and subscribe. If you're listening on a podcast, tell your friends. Pod Maverick is where it's at. We're growing, or we're trying to. Eventually, I'll be doing some live reads and things like that. And if those of you are still wondering how you can help us, it's frankly just spreading the word, getting subscribers, that sort of thing. Everybody, I hope you have a better Sunday, and we will talk soon. Go Mavs.